They don't hurry. They don't look back. But they know I'm watching. They always have. I was 42 when it happened. Now I'm 71, and the footage still plays in my head clearer than any TV screen. I've watched that grainy security clip 1,000 times, frame by frame, trying to prove to myself it was a trick of light, a prank, anything but real. It never works. The legs keep walking. What you're about to hear still keeps me up at night. Before I begin, if you love true American horror stories, go ahead and subscribe, because this one isn't just a story. It happened. And I need someone else to carry it now. Fresno, California. Central Valley heat in November, dry enough to crack your lips. I lived on the edge of town, where the subdivisions give up and the orchards take over. Fig trees, almond groves, irrigation ditches that smell like wet earth and fertilizer. My house sat on a half-acre lot, chain-link fence, motion lights that flickered when the wind came down from the Sierras. I was a widower. Sarah had passed 2 years earlier, cancer that moved faster than prayers. The kids were grown, scattered to Seattle and Austin. It was just me, the dog, and the quiet. I worked security back then, not the mall cop kind. Private contracts. I installed cameras for farmers who didn't trust their workers, for homeowners who'd heard too many stories about break-ins. I knew every brand of CCTV, every blind spot, every way a system could fail. That's why, when I saw the tape, I couldn't blame the equipment. The equipment was perfect. Started small. The feeling, like someone standing behind me in an empty room. I'd be in the kitchen, pouring coffee, and the hairs on my neck would rise. I turn. Nothing. Just the hum of the fridge and the dog staring at the back door. Rusty was a mutt, part shepherd, part who knows what. He'd growl low, ears flat, but never barked. Not once. Then the footprints. Not human. 2 pale smudges in the dirt by the shed, long and narrow, no heel, no toes. Like someone pressed a pair of stilts into the soil and lifted them straight up. I measured them, 32 inches apart. I took pictures. I told myself it was kids in costumes, college pranks, anything. But the prints didn't lead anywhere. They started in the middle of the yard and stopped at the fence. No entry. No exit. I set up the cameras. 4 of them. Infrared. Motion triggered. 1 on the porch, 1 on the garage, 1 overlooking the backyard, 1 pointed at the orchard gate. I ran the feed to an old desktop in the spare room. Every night I'd sit there with a beer, watching the screens flicker between black and white stillness. Waiting. November 17th, 2010. I remember the date because it was Sarah's birthday. She would have been 45. I'd lit a candle on the counter, the kind that smells like vanilla and regret. Rusty whined at the door. I let him out. He wouldn't cross the threshold. Just stood there, trembling. I checked the monitors. Nothing. Then the backyard camera blinked. Motion. I leaned closer. The screen showed the lawn, silver in the infrared. Empty. Then they appeared. 2 of them. Legs. That's all. Pale, jointed wrong, moving in perfect unison. They came from the left, where the fig trees cast long shadows. No torso. No arms. Just legs, walking slow like they were pacing off a field. They crossed the grass in silence. No sound on the mic. No rustle of leaves. The grass didn't bend under them. I froze. They stopped in the center of the yard. Turned. Not the legs bending, but the whole shape pivoting, smooth as a compass needle. They faced the camera. I couldn't see eyes, but I felt them, like being stared at by something that doesn't need eyes to see. Rusty barked once, sharp and desperate. The legs moved again. Faster. Toward the house. I ran to the back door. Locked it. Deadbolt. Chain. I grabbed the shotgun from the closet, hands shaking so bad I nearly dropped the shells. I stood in the hallway listening. Nothing. No knock. No scratch. Just the wind chimes on the porch, tinkling like broken glass. I went back to the monitors. They were gone. But the porch camera showed something else. A smudge. Like fog but thicker. Pressed against the lens, spreading until the screen went white. Then static. I didn't sleep. The next morning I checked the yard. No prints. No smudges. The cameras were working fine. I pulled the footage, burned it to a disk, watched it over and over until the images burned behind my eyelids. I called the police, showed them the tape. They watched in silence. One officer, young guy with a mustache like a broom, laughed nervously, said it looked like pants on a clothesline, said maybe raccoons triggered the motion sensor. They left. I didn't argue, but I knew. They came back. Not every night, but often enough. Always between 2 o'clock and 3 a.m. Always 2, sometimes 3. They'd walk the perimeter of the fence, slow and deliberate. Once, one stopped by the shed and stood there for 20 minutes. Just stood. No movement. Like it was listening. I started leaving the lights on. All of them. Floodlights, porch lights, the lamp in the living room. It didn't matter. They walked through the glow like it wasn't there. I tried to film them with my phone. The screen glitched. Vertical lines. Static. The video corrupted every time. I stopped sleeping in the bedroom. Slept on the couch. Shotgun across my lap. Rusty wouldn't leave my side. He'd whine, pace, stare at the windows. One night he bolted upright, hackles raised. I followed his gaze. They were inside. Not through the door. Not through the window. Just there. In the hallway. 2 sets of legs standing perfectly still. The carpet didn't indent. The air didn't move. But they were there. I raised the shotgun. My finger on the trigger. They didn't flinch. Didn't move. Just watched. Then they walked. Through the wall. Into the kitchen. I heard the fridge hum. The candle on the counter flickered, though there was no draft. I followed. The kitchen was empty, but the back door was open. Wide open. I'd locked it. I know I did. I stepped outside. The yard was full of them. Not 2. Not 3. Dozens. Legs everywhere. Walking in patterns. Circles. Figure 8s. Some tall, some short. All pale. All silent. They moved around me. Not touching. Not looking. But close enough I could smell them. Not a smell exactly. A feeling. Like standing near a freezer that's been left open too long. I backed into the house. Slammed the door. Locked it. Leaned against it, breathing hard. The lights went out. All of them. At once. Darkness. Total. Then the whispering. Not words. Not English. A sound like wind through dry grass. Like bones clicking. Came from everywhere. The walls. The floor. Inside my skull. I fumbled for the flashlight. Clicked it on. The beam caught them. Standing in the living room. Rows of legs. No bodies. Just legs. They started walking. Toward me. I ran. Through the kitchen. Down the hall. Into the spare room. Slammed the door. Pushed the desk against it. The monitors were still on. Battery backup. Every screen showed the same thing. The yard, the house, the orchard, filled with legs. Hundreds. Walking. I grabbed the phone. Dialed 911. The line was dead. I sat there. In the dark. Listening. They didn't knock. Didn't scratch. Just walked. Hours. I must have passed out. When I woke, the sun was up. The power was back. The doors were locked. The cameras showed nothing. No footage. The disc was blank. Rusty was gone. I found him in the orchard, curled under a fig tree, eyes open, tongue black, no marks. The vet said heart failure. He was only 6. I sold the house, moved to Oregon, told myself it was over. It wasn't. They followed. Not every night, but enough. I'd see them in the reflection of the TV screen, in the corner of my eye when I drove at night, once in a grocery store parking lot under the sodium lights, 2 legs walking between the cars. I stopped watching the videos online, the ones from Fresno, the ones from Poland, Japan. They're the same, always the same. Last year I got a letter. No return address. Inside a single photograph. My old backyard. The fig trees. The shed. And in the center 2 pale legs. Standing exactly where they first appeared. On the back, in handwriting I didn't recognize, "We remember." I burned the photo. But I still see it. Every night. They're patient. They don't need doors. They don't need names. They just walk. And one day, when I'm too tired to run, they'll walk me home. Because some things don't end. They just wait. They just wait.